my name is Charles E. Watson, and this is the first episode of my new album, Documentary 2020. And I want to thank you guys for watching tonight. This video is going to be on our YouTube. Please subscribe to Charles E. Watson YouTube and show your support. And that would be great. And be a part of the creative process. It's going to be awesome to see what everybody thinks about the music, and we can all be a part of this. So tonight, on this first episode, it's my pleasure to have a fellow musician that's going to be on the album, and he's also a COVID-19 survivor. And I'd like to now welcome to the studio...
Josh Cummings! Come on in! All right, thank you.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
I'm not on there.
So I know you've come up with some ideas on the drums and stuff like that, and when we've been talking about some of the ideas for the beginning of it, and I've been coming up with some things on the guitar, and we're going to put it together and see what it sounds like. But we kind of have a concept and idea for how this is going to start. And you know, it's kind of funny, COVID-19, if it was a movie, right? You know, some movies have an alternate ending, right? Which we could make an alternate ending to this, but it might have an alternate beginning. We're not quite sure, you know, how it started, but so maybe we'll write an alternate beginning to the albums to see, you know, if it was something different happened, you know, military, you know, takedown. So you also just actually got done having COVID-19, and I think that a lot of people I talk to and stuff like that, you know, they might know somebody, but it's different when, you know, you hear a lot of the news and media and everything, but, you know, it's good when you can hear it firsthand from somebody that had it. So you got it. How did you think you got it?
To be honest, I have no idea. I really don't, because I wore masks everywhere, washed my hands after every time I went out. I was pretty careful, but I'm not sure how I got it.
You said something about, like, you went to the grocery store.
Yeah, that's what I think. I went to the grocery store, and I don't think I washed my hands when I got home, and...
Then shortly after that, you felt like, what, did you get a fever first?
Fever, cough, my lungs hurt. They were heavy, and they were on fire for like 5 days. But it was not fun, but I didn't have severe symptoms. I had mild to moderate. So you went to the doctor too? Yeah.
And what did the doctor say?
The doctors didn't say much. They shoved a Q-tip up my nose, which was awesome. Basically sent me my results, which I had it, but it sucked. It did.
So
I had a fever for 5 days. The last day it was the worst.
And it got to what, like
103.
103?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did they tell you to treat it with?
They didn't tell me to treat it with anything. They didn't tell me
no over-the-counter stuff or anything like that?
No, they just tested me and said, all right, go home. Quarantine.
And how long did they say to do that for?
14 days.
And out of the 14 days, how long were you sick?
5 really sick, and then it took a few days to teeter off after that, but...
So you, like, quarantined for 14 days, and then you had to wait a certain amount of time to go back to work?
That 14 days.
That 14 days,
yeah.
And then you were able to go back to work.
Yeah.
And you've been back to work for, like, a couple weeks now, at least.
3 weeks now.
Yeah, 3 weeks. So, well, I'm really glad you were okay. So, do you think, is it the worst cold you've ever had?
No.
But
I'm sure it was for other people, but it wasn't for me. Yeah,
it kind of differs, it seems, but it still wasn't a walk in the park or the funnest thing
it
ever.
wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun at all. You know, in the middle there. So, do you think the media and stuff like that has blown up what having it is? Or do you think that really it was sucky enough that where, like, if somebody was weaker or whatever, it would jack them up pretty serious?
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally think if they had any type of underlying issue, it would have messed them up good.
Yeah.
Because my chest hurt. I'm going to tell you that. I had a cough. It was worse in the morning, kind of went away in the evening, but every morning, man, I'd hack hard.
Now, I know you were working a lot, too. You were working a lot and just trucking along and stuff like that. And You know, you're always a hard worker, and I'm the same way too. But so what was it? Well, you said the hard part though was the quarantine part.
Yeah, the hardest part was being isolated by yourself. It wasn't fun. I mean, while you're sick, it really doesn't matter because you're laying in bed and drinking NyQuil and trying to take vitamin C and do all that stuff. But once you felt better, you wanted to leave, and I wanted to leave.
You find yourself picking up your musical instruments or like reverting into going back to art or things like that?
Yes. I started drawing, started playing music heavily because that's what I had laying there readily available. And
it's kind of funny when it's,
you know, I put it down for a minute and then this happened and it made me grab it again, so.
Well, I think, you know, one thing I noticed is that like the quarantine idea, like you know, and when I say us all, I mean like a lot of people that I know that like we're busy doing stuff, we're working and we got careers and we're just trucking along, and then, you know, something like this happens and your industry gets cut or something, or just because of family you have to quarantine yourself, you're not able to work with the public as much or things like that. But you know, you kind of turn inside, you know, like you start looking into yourself again and you're like, wow, now I have all this time and I'm not doing something for somebody else all the time.
A lot of time.
You know, and yeah, a lot of time, and that can be hard too. But you know, a lot of musicians and other people I know, they're picking up their guitars again. And it's like the fog is starting to lift, and you're starting like, oh, I'm gonna be creative again, and I'm gonna do things, and it's like, you know, so there's some positive aspects that come out of it. The quarantine idea or being separated from your family is hard. Like I had a period where I wasn't able to see my family or be around much people because of my child or other things going on, and it was really difficult, you know what I mean? And it's like, but you get through it, and you know, you got to find ways to entertain yourself. You keep trucking along and do as much as you can. But even on the unemployment thing, it's funny, you know, the mark on there, you don't even have to mark it to say you tried looking for a job, because they're like, there isn't any, you know. Even though there's still a lot of work out there, and we always work or do whatever we can to make ends meet, you know, and that's always about the side gig, right? That's what you always got to do. You got to work a lot of things. So if one thing happens, you can change it and do other stuff. Well, I just want to say that I appreciate you talking about it, especially talking about the people at the school and making this documentary about this music, because we're going to use all these ideas in a real way. Me and Josh had originally come up with an idea called Epidemic, which was a whole concept album and story about a disease that took over and spread and did this thing. It was a little bit more like 28 Days Later, though, in ours.
Yeah. It definitely had a more zombie-ish vibe to it. But yeah, that was like 6 or 7 years ago.
But we had songs where it was like the aggression came out, and other things about like some of the stuff where it was like things were going on and they're still trying to be at work, and
the
like
love story between the guy and the girl. Like it
was,
we got crazy deep into it.
So that's great, you know, like we could do that, make it fiction. But I was talking to him, I was like, you know, we might as well just do it for reals. Why go and use fiction when we can take that? And that's why we decided to call the album Our Pandemic. You know, because it's like everybody's pandemic right now, and it's a point in history, but we'll look back on it. But we want to kind of create this musical album that's the timeline of everything, and it's going to be creatively interpreted. I'll definitely say that, and our music has got a lot of different emotions to it that I think you might like tonight, and I think you're going to be interested in how this goes together. And so we'll start playing here in a second, and but I wanted to give you something that I think you deserve after doing it. Okay? All right?
Oh, shit.
I want to tell you that I'm really happy to have you be my friend.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we get to play music, okay? And I gave my mom a hug at one point, and she turned into a stick of butter because she's like, that's the first human contact I've had for a while. Not that you always want human contact. So it just so happens that these drums that he played, the first note on it matches a note on my guitar. Can you hit that bass note again? thanks to all our friends for watching, and we want you guys to be a part of this, and that's why it's called Our Pandemic. All right, so thank you for watching our first episode, and be sure to subscribe on Facebook, and that's where this video will be there with some stuff in there too. So thank you guys. Have a great evening.